The Judicial Service Commission is now planning on holding its interviews of the 4 people nominated to the position of Chief Justice only in February next year. You'll know there's already been a long process over now. The JSC will only make a nomination to the President after those interviews. Joining us for more on this conversation is Dan Mafora. He's a research officer with Casac. Dan, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I imagine that this is the last thing that anyone expected. Already, the delay in the appointment of a Chief Justice has taken place for far longer than would have been anticipated.
Good evening, Kathy, and thank you so much for having me. I think you are absolutely right. We had expected the JSC to hold interviews for the position of Chief Justice by the end of this year. And obviously, today from the statement, we learned that it's only going to take place in February of 2022, which means that we will be 5 or 6 months in without a Chief Justice. And of course, if you factor in the fact that the Chief Justice took long leave at the end of May, that becomes a much, much longer period.
It's not just the post of the Chief Justice that remains open. There's still other vacancies on the Constitutional Court, which really means that the work of the court now rests with the few judges that are there.
Correct. There are at least 4, I think, acting judges at the moment who are on the Constitutional Court. The President is, of course, sitting with a short list of 5 names that he needs to choose 2 from to fill 2 of the 4 vacancies that are there on the court. And so this is really quite a concerning development, and we are concerned about the stability of the court, its operations and how it functions, because it just has never, I think, in its history, had this few appointed or permanently appointed judges. And the fact that, you know, the JSC has also now passed the buck and postponed the election or the appointment of the President into the next year adds to that concern.
Do you think it's a case of the JSC passing the buck, or realistically thinking, well, the year's almost coming to an end?
Look, I think there's something to be said about how the JSC is approaching this as if it were the appointment of any other judge. We know that the process for appointing the Chief Justice is quite different and driven primarily by the President. The fact that, of course, the President announced quite late or quite close to the Chief Justice's retirement that this is the new process that he wanted to adopt, that has had an impact on how the JSC has functioned. But for the JSC to now run this process as if these were judges that were, or these were candidates that were applying to be judges for the first time, asking them for a questionnaire, opening up the process to public comments and public objections, really makes you wonder what the role of the panel that did the very same thing was.
Dan, let's talk then about what the impact of this on a very practical level means or is for the Constitutional Court.
Sure. So, I mean, at this stage, we have an acting Chief Justice in Deputy Chief Justice Zondo, but of course, we know that he is also busy with the State Capture Commission and trying to finish the report, which is due at the end of this month, which means that realistically, he is not focused on the administrative functioning of the court. We have seen that he hasn't sat in at least 3 of the past of the previous or the cases that were heard in the past 3 or so weeks. And so we are left to wonder about who is actually leading the court at this stage and how they are doing so, and if any leadership is being provided to the rest of the members of the bench. And I think also this is going to be the first time that the JSC will be chaired by the Deputy President rather of the Supreme Court of Appeal. And so this has a ripple effect or domino effect on how the whole of the judiciary functions.
Dan Mafora, let's leave it there for now. He's a research officer with Casac.